Welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. You know, last week's opening statement went viral on social media. More than 63 million of you watched and shared it. So let's get right to tonight's. The White House says we're at war with ISIS, but it appears that they're really at war with the one man in power trying to protect us from ISIS. This needs to get fixed. There is a hero in Washington who's repeatedly at odds with the narratives that this administration keeps shoving down our throats. He's not getting the support he needs to protect us, and you need to pay attention and support him. His name? Jim Comey. And he is the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Comey has but one priority, and that is the security and the safety of the American people. Political machinations do not play into his job. That is why he is appointed to a 10-year term, irrespective of who the sitting president is. Yet it appears that there is increasing tension between this FBI director and the president. Example. As the FBI was investigating the classified documents on Hillary Clinton's private server, President Obama goes on 60 Minutes and he signals loud and clear that there's no basis really for a prosecution of Hillary Clinton.
I do think that the way it's been ginned up is in part because of politics. I can tell you that this is not a situation in which America's national security was endangered.
Comey, however, does not bow to politics or political wins. He defends his FBI investigation. Quote, "If you know my folks, you know they don't give a rip about politics." And when President Obama announced he was releasing 6,000 inmates from federal prisons, partly because of prison overcrowding, in spite of the fact that the population has been declining since 2013, and partly because of the disproportionate number of minorities in prison, Comey not only rejects the administration's claims of blacks being incarcerated en masse, saying that punishment protects neighborhoods from crime, he concludes that prison releases will amount to more crime. And after the Michael Brown shooting in Ferguson, the Black Lives Matter narrative began. Obama denied that Ferguson impacted the way police respond to crime. Comey, however, disagreed, saying that in truth, law enforcement is reacting to Ferguson and that all lives matter. Take a listen.
I do have a strong sense that some part of the explanation is a chill wind that has blown through law enforcement over the last year. And that wind is surely changing behavior.
At the same event where Comey used the phrase, "all lives matter," 3 times, the president used his closing remarks at that same event to say that those who say all lives matter miss the point. And on the national security front, as the Obama administration continues to promote the narrative that ISIS is a JV team, that it's being contained, the basic "we've got you covered" claim, Comey goes before Congress in July to talk about ISIS, his lack of resources, and what he needs to do his job.
I am finding that the tools we are being asked to use are increasingly ineffective in our national security work and in our criminal work. And I think my job is to tell folks about that so we can talk about it.
And as Obama and Kerry preach to us that the world is less violent than it's ever been, that Americans are safe, Director Comey comes out and says,
"We have investigations in all 50 states to try to identify among hundreds of people who are consuming this poison, where are they in stages from consuming to acting, and how do we stop them from acting?"
And then admitting he doesn't have what he needs to do the job. And as our president clings to his workplace violence and gun control narrative in the wake of the San Bernardino massacre, Comey's FBI announces it is terrorism. And on the issue of vetting refugees, the president trumpets his vigorous vetting process. On October 22nd, Director Comey went before Congress to say terrorists were getting in with the refugees.
And there's no doubt that that was the product of a less than excellent vetting that had been done on Iraqi refugees.
And it became clear that San Bernardino Islamist terrorist Tashfeen Malik came into this country on a fiancé K-1 visa waiver. The president defends his visa waiver program, trumpeting the interrogation process that is in place, and he adds,
I will urge high-tech and law enforcement leaders to make it harder for terrorists to use technology to escape from justice.
But Director Comey disagrees, saying, we simply don't have enough information.
We can only query against that which we have collected. We can query our database till the cows come home.
And I think he finished that by saying, until the cows come home, but if they're not in a database, it doesn't matter. And then, when Major Garrett infuriated the president when he asked about a former FBI agent reportedly working for the CIA, this man being held in Iran, the president scolded him for his question, and even Jay Carney said that Robert Levinson wasn't even a government employee. And here's how Comey responds. He ups the reward to $5 million for that ex-FBI agent. And when Comey announced that terrorism was at the root of the San Bernardino killings, who was he accompanied by? No one other than Loretta Lynch, our Attorney General, who said that her greatest fear was anti-Islamic rhetoric that would lead to violence against Muslims. Might she have been intentionally placed there to pull Comey back to make sure he didn't go too far on the Islamic terrorism note? Now, I know Jim Comey. I worked with him when he was the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. He is not only brilliant, he is honest, hardworking, and he comes from a long line of law enforcement. Politics plays no role in his decisions. He's in it for all the right reasons. Just ask this person.
To know Jim Comey is also to know his fierce independence and his deep integrity.
Mr. President, you need to let this man do his job. And that's my opening statement. Tell me what you think on my Facebook page or Twitter, #Judge Jeanine.